Transitioning from in-person to online coaching and actually trying to reach more athletes online, one of the biggest questions that I see is, what do I actually charge? And most sports coaches are either afraid to overcharge because they don't want to take advantage of people, but at the same time, they're afraid to undercharge because they don't want to waste their time. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the exact principles that you need to think through when deciding what you should be charging for your online coaching program. And if this is your first time here, my name is Nick. I run an online consulting company helping sports coaches grow and scale their online coaching businesses so that way they can actually reach more athletes, have a bigger impact, make more money, and create a life of way more freedom. If you're a returning subscriber, then welcome back. Let's dive right into the video. So, like I said, one of the biggest questions that I get this all the time, whether it's from current clients or people in my DMs or whatever it is, they're like, Nick, what should I charge for my online coaching offer? And so I'm gonna answer that question and show you how to actually think about it so that way you can understand why I'm giving you the information that I am. So the first thing that we need to think about is just understand that your price is fluid, okay? And by fluid, I mean that it can change. Okay, so just because I'll give you a prime example. Just got off a call with a client and they were super concerned that, they didn't want to charge too much because, they don't want to, and they're just starting out, right? They don't want to charge too much because number one, their offer isn't 100% validated. Number two, they're not even 100% sure if they can actually really deliver results. They're not sure if their athletes are going to like it. There are all these questions, right, that they have. There's a lack of certainty there. And so because they have a lack of certainty, they don't want to charge too much, right? On the flip side, they don't want to undercharge because they don't want to spend all this time, building their online coaching program and talking to potential clients and helping them get results to get way less money, okay? So the first principle that we need to understand is that your pricing is fluid, okay? It's fluid, it can change. And so if we understand that what we're gonna charge day one is not what we're gonna be charging long term, then it makes it so much easier, okay? So if we understand that it's fluid, then we need to think about how much experience do we have coaching online, how comfortable are we charging higher prices, and all that will go into the decision-making framework, okay? So basically, and I'm gonna give you a couple examples of what people are charging right now. So what we need to understand is, number one, time frame, outcome, and market. These are all going to play a factor into what we're actually going to deliver. And then even number four, what are the actual deliverables of the program? And I'll break down what each of these mean. So time frame, okay? Number one, we gotta think about if this is if you're trying to sell a 4-week program, which I absolutely do not recommend. I recommend at least a 12-week program, okay? The reason why a 12-week program is number one, you can get way better results with an athlete the longer that they're with you, okay? So anything less than 12 weeks, it typically becomes difficult to actually be able to get athletes really good results. And number two, it becomes difficult to charge a price point that is actually worth your time, okay? But in a perfect world, we would have everybody do a 12-month program, or if you get a freshman in high school, it's a 4-year commitment. But think about that commitment, right? If you were just to go on a date with somebody and on the first date, they were like, hey, do you wanna be in a relationship for the next 4 years? You would be like, yo, you're crazy, right? You would tell them that they're crazy. And that's exactly what it would be like is if you asked a freshman in high school if they wanted to train with you for the next 4 years, right? So what we want to do is have maybe a little bit lower of a commitment. 12 weeks is typically the best thing that I've seen for people just starting out, okay? And then obviously as you build more trust, as you build a bigger brand, as you have more results, and you become better at marketing yourself, then you can ask for a longer commitment. But this is typically what I would say is the best, okay? Now the outcome, okay? So I have a client who runs a recruiting offer, and he doesn't necessarily guarantee, but he's like 300 for 300 on successful college placements. So you can do the math on that. He doesn't give a guarantee, but he's got a 100% success rate, okay? And the outcome is a college scholarship. So he charges $5,500 for his recruiting services. And that's not even, the highest he could charge. I have a football client right now as well that does recruiting. I've seen him charge upwards of $9,000 for his program. He actually has training tacked onto that as well, okay? Which goes into the deliverables. But the outcome of that is really great, right? You're getting a college scholarship, whereas I worked with a client in the past who did for catchers to help them drop their pop time. And he would only charge like a couple $100 for that. Because yes, he's helping them drop their pop time, but it's so niche specific that in my opinion, he could have charged way more money, but he's probably not gonna be able to charge $5K to help people drop their pop time, right? Because at the end of the day, you gotta think, what is the difference between somebody doing it on their own versus trying with you, okay? So this guy who's helping people drop their pop time, he's kind of limited with how much he could charge. But I have another client who's in the same industry. He's a catching coach, and he does holistic catching training, and he charges like $2,500 for 6 months. Okay, so you could see how the outcome really, really, really dictates. Okay, so like how desirable is the outcome and how big is the outcome? Okay, that's going to play a factor. Okay, then we got to go to the market. And by market, I really mean age. So if you're trying to target, like I have a client, for example, 80,000, 90,000 followers on Instagram. He's monetized because he makes great content, all this different type of stuff. He's a former pro baseball player, but when he's trying to charge upwards of $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, he has a really, really, really difficult time selling it. Why? Because of the age. His average demographic is like 10 to 14 years old. And if you think about the level of commitment that a 10 to 14-year-old has towards their playing career at that point, it's pretty low, right? It's pretty low compared to, there are baseball pitching coaches who charge $550 a month, right? Comparative for a 12-month program. Think about that. What is that? It's like $7K for the year or something pretty close to that. Whereas this coach is having difficulty selling his program for $2,000, right? Or like $1,500 is what he's found is good for like 6 months, okay? So the age plays a really big factor, and also level, okay? Like how serious they are. So they could be 14 years old, but they could be really serious. They could be 12 years old and their dad's a former NFL player, and he's like, I want this kid, like it may not even be like a football player, but their dad's a former NFL player. He sees training as valuable because he knows how important training is. So he's going to invest into his kid. And he's probably got a little bit more bread if he was decent with his money, right? Although a lot of NFL players go broke. Okay. And then the deliverables, okay? Like what actually comes with the program? What are you doing? And when I say what are you doing, I mean like what actually comes with your program? Like how much are you actually going to be helping them? Are you doing like bi-weekly calls? Do you have a community? Do you message them back and forth? Do they get video breakdowns? Do you reach out to college coaches on their behalf? Like what are you actually doing for them, and how valuable do they perceive that? Okay. So obviously I just walked you through these 4 principles. Now, here is what I would say. If you're just starting out, here's a decent offer that you could try, okay? And I've seen this work exceptionally well. So like, let's say you're a coach, you charge about $100 an hour. An offer that I have seen is $1,200 for 12 weeks. And the best way that I've seen to price this. A lot of people think that you want to get monthlies. I think that's the worst thing that you could possibly do. You need commitment. You need people to pay you upfront so that way they are committed to getting the outcome, okay? So this would be like a decent intro offer if you've never done it before. And I would price drop like this. I'd say 2 payments of $750 or 1 payment of $1,200. Now what this does is it incentivizes the paid in full price. So that way we get the $1,200 up front. Why would you pay $750 twice if you pay $750 today and then $750 in 6 weeks? You might as well just pay the $1,200, right? So this is typically how I'll tell people to price their programs, whether it's a 6-month program, 2 payments, $1,500, 1 payment of $2,500, whatever. We want to incentivize the commitment up front, and then on the back end, after this 12-week program, we can get them into, let's say $100 a week or, $400 a month, which is basically the same price, right? This actually ends up becoming a little bit more expensive, like $400 more expensive over the year. But this is what happens on the back end. So after their 12-week program, we sell them into continuity. That is how you retain them. This is how to price for commitment and results and an outcome. And then this is how to price on the back end to keep people forever. Okay? So if this is super valuable for you, then make sure to subscribe. If you want my help directly one-on-one to be a part of my coaching program, you can go ahead, check out the link in the description. Either way, hopefully you got a ton of value out of this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.